The chance to return to the top of world boxing. For Anthony Mundine, it's all about the fairy tale. This is the way that the card looks. You'll see the first two of these bouts here on Fox Sports before we head to main event. So we've got Lachlan O'Shea making his professional boxing debut. He takes on the younger brother of Jeff Horn, Ben Horn. That is 4 3-minute rounds at super welterweights. Then, well, another man with a famous brother. It is Yusuf Dib. He's the brother of Billy Dib. He takes on Mark Ramirez. That is 4 3-minute rounds at welterweights. Then we head over to main event television, and it is Francis Chua against one of the most exciting up-and-comers in Australian boxing, Kai McKenzie. 6 3-minute rounds at lightweight. Kai McKenzie, the world number 2, and closing in on a world title shot. Then we move to cruiserweight. It's 4 3-minute rounds with David Allure up against Curtis Pegueraro. So that's the way the first 4 of them look. Then we have an international bout. Venezuela's Frank Rojas takes on Queenslander Cameron Hammond. That is 10 3-minute rounds for the WBA's Oceania welterweight title before we have an evenly matched one between Ben Marnie and Adrian Rodriguez. 5 3-minute rounds at middleweights. The main undercard bout tonight will be Liam Wilson. He's unbeaten in 2 fights with 2 stoppage victories, and he takes on Brent Rice, a fellow Queenslander. He's also unbeaten in 8 bouts. 10 3-minute rounds for the Australian super featherweight title, which is currently held by Rice. That'll take us to the big one, Anthony the Man Mundine. We've watched his incredible career for now 25 years as a professional athlete. He'll take on the local hero, the Hornet, Jeff Horn, the man who beat Manny Pacquiao in front of these fans on one of the most famous days in the history of Australian boxing. Plenty of famous faces joining us in the crowd, and a big crowd to fill up here at Suncorp Stadium as well. Thank you for joining us wherever you are watching right around Australia and across the world. Ben Damon is my name. An absolute pleasure to be here at Suncorp Stadium, and joining me in commentary for these early bouts will be Carly Meehan. That man there is Liam Wilson. You'll see him in action in the main undercard bout. As I mentioned, he's 2-0 with 2 stoppage victories. He's shooting for the Australian super featherweight title belt against Brent Rice. You'll see that later on this evening. Not too far away from a start in our next bout, but I will bring in my co-commentator, former world title challenger, Carly Meehan. This is a very, very exciting night for Australian boxing, Carly.
It's very exciting, Ben Damon, and once again, I'm just as excited as you are to be here. You know, to be in this outdoor arena of Suncorp. You know, some of the great fights in history were all fought outdoors. Guys like Jack Dempsey versus Jack Johnson, Holmes and Cooney, Hagler versus Leonard, Roberto Duran's and Thomas Hearns. Obviously, we had Mundine and Green 1 and 2, and of course, Jeff the Hornet Horn versus the great one, Manny Pacquiao here at Suncorp Stadium. So it really is exciting to be here. Tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing the professional debut of Lachlan O'Shea versus Ben Horn, the brother of Jeff Horn, obviously. I mean, Lachlan O'Shea had 16 amateurs. Ben Horn had 15 amateurs, and I really feel it's good to put these amateurs on these big scenes early in their career, and that way they can develop a bit of a following. You know, and it's exciting to see. It's a big stage.
It is a big stage. What a huge opportunity for Ben Horn. He is the younger brother of Jeff Horn. He's got his friends and family, and well, plenty of the Horn fans that have already filled into Suncorp Stadium. Others will be watching us on Fox Sports, and he'll be our first bout for coverage here on Fox Sports as well. As mentioned, we have 2 bouts for you here before we head over to main event television. Book the broadcast over there if you haven't already, but I think we are just about ready to get them out. So for the first time this afternoon, it is a very big welcome to our ring announcer, Lieutenant Dan Hennessy.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in our worldwide audience as we get ready for our next bout of the afternoon. It is scheduled for 4 3-minute rounds of professional super welterweight boxing action. Introducing first, making his way to the blue corner, this is Lachlan O'Shea.
this is Lachlan O'Shea making his professional debut today after an amateur career which lasted 16 bouts. It brought him a Queensland state title last year. Lachlan, 25 years of age. He's from Townsville. He's trained by Dennis Clancy. He had a pretty bad motor vehicle accident a few years back, in fact. He suffered a compound fracture of his leg. It wasn't expected he'd be able to compete on this sort of a level, but here he is, recovered, ready to rumble as well at Suncorp Stadium. Lachlan's father was a boxer as well, and in choosing a nickname for his professional boxing debut, he's gone with Slick Rick, as in Rick O'Shea. That's the joke. Lachlan O'Shea takes to centre ring.
And his opponent making his way to the red corner, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ben
This is Ben Horn, the 28-year-old younger brother of Jeff Horn. He had 15 fights as an amateur. And the word around town is that when he is committed, Ben has the capacity to become a successful professional boxer as well. He's been training hard for this bout. He trains with Glenn Rushton, who, of course, is the trainer for Jeff. He's been sparring his brother Jeff plenty as well. He goes by the nickname The Hunter as a professional. And he's no stranger to Suncorp Stadium, obviously. He was in Jeff's corner on that famous day when he beat Manny Pacquiao. He also, that day, very nearly came to blows with legendary trainer Freddie Roach in the dressing rooms. They had a disagreement before the fight. He's very fiery. He's a come-forward fighter, and he's on the big stage today. We get a double dose of Horn here in Brisbane today. This is the tale of the tape. It's Lachlan O'Shea and Ben Horn, 25 years of age, plays 28. Not too much in terms of height, just the 4 centimetres, but a pretty significant reach advantage goes in favour of Horn, and both of them weighed in right under that limit. This one scheduled for 4 3-minute rounds at super welterweight bout number 1 here on Fox Sports at the River City Rumble. Here's the official introductions with our ring announcer, Lieutenant Dan.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 4 3-minute rounds of professional super welterweight boxing action. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, he enters the ring wearing black trunks with yellow trim. He weighed in at 66.75 kilograms or 147.1 pounds. He hails from Townsville, Queensland, Australia, making his professional debut right here tonight. Introducing Lachlan O'Shea. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, enters the ring wearing black trunks with gold and blue trim. He weighed in at 67.7 kgs or 149.2 pounds. He hails from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. He's also making his professional debut here today. Introducing Ben the Hunter Horn! Fighters to the center ring, please, for referee Paul Tapley's instructions.
Benny. Lachlan. Over here, boss. Okay, fellas, I spoke to you both in the dressing rooms. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck to both of you.
Here we go, bout number 1 on the coverage of the River City Rumble here at Suncorp Stadium. That man there, the younger brother of Jeff Horn. He takes on Lachlan O'Shea, 2 fighters making their professional boxing debuts in this ring, with, of course, Ben's brother Jeff to take on Anthony Mundine in our main event later on this evening. Ben Damon's my name, joined by Carly Meehan in commentary. This first bout, 4 3-minute rounds, and in the early stages of this, we note that Ben Horn throws a nice right hand. He gets through onto Lachlan O'Shea, who is just easing himself into his pro debut. Just lunges with a right hand. Ben comes back, and plenty of fire early in this one, Carly.
There is plenty of fire, Ben Damon. I spoke to Lachlan's trainer yesterday, Dennis Clancy from Townsville, who everyone up in Townsville knows. He's a great trainer. He looks after a lot of boys. He was, He was Bam Bam Flanagan's early trainer in his amateur days. He was telling me about Slick Rick. I said, is that the type of fighter is? Is he a slick fighter? He said, no, he's a stand and deliver.
Okay, they exchange here in a neutral corner, and it is Ben Horn that gets the better of them. Lachlan O'Shea had his moments, did score with a couple of shots, but Horn managed to turn the tables. He came out the better, and now he goes back to work with still 2 minutes remaining in this opening bout.
We've got a fight here on our hands, Ben Damon. We can see Horn, he's a fighter too, and he's loving this experience, this exposure, this coming onto the big stage. It's not bothering him, you know, as we thought it might have been a bit hard for these guys making their pro debut, but I mean, both guys are swinging, they're letting them go, and the crowd is not disappointed.
So it is Horn, the orthodox fighter. O'Shea coming forward, the southpaw, with his lead right hand. And there are some similarities, no doubt, between Ben Horn and Jeff Horn in the way that he does come towards his opponents. Some similarities in power too, as he starts to go to work over the top against O'Shea there against the ropes. And now Horn gets back outside.
I've got to say, Ben Damon, this is what makes boxing flourish. Two debutants fighting each other, very evenly matched. You know, and I take my hats off to both of these guys for putting their hand up. Usually guys will look for someone with 4 losses, 5 losses, but hey, they're both undefeated. They both had the same amount of amateur fights. Here we go.
Nice jab there from Horn as well. He gets through onto O'Shea, who goes to the body. Now throws a nice little tight right hook as well. And Horn backs him up against the ropes. You know, O'Shea has found himself against these ropes a number of times. You can see the redness across his back already. It's been a rough start to proceedings, and 30 seconds do remain here in round number 1, Carly.
Very rough, Ben Damon. And it's the sort of thing, you know, and as your first pro fight, you're nervous, you're excited, you just want to take your opponent's head off. And it's these sort of experiences that teaches a fighter to look for the jab, look for defense.
He goes to work, does Horn. O'Shea there to be hit, but he's throwing back. And with 10 seconds remaining in the first round, a bit of an experience from both of these fighters. They both turned to their corners to walk away. There was still 10 seconds left. That was just our warning. There's the bell. So we do end round number 1 now. And maybe 10 seconds too soon for Ben. He gets a laugh from Glenn Rushton.
Up and down, he's that sucker for an uppercut. The jab was landing beautifully. You need to throw it a bit more. Step to the left, use that jab.
Here we can see here both guys just rushing in. We see Horn landing, I don't know what he landed, but it dropped O'Shea. I'm not sure if that was just a slip of the feet or it was an actual punch, but they're roughing it up, both guys here, and they're both really entertaining the crowd. And this is where they need to find the experiences. This is how they find the experiences. You know, coming on shows like this, they need to sit back, use their jab, look a little bit for defense.
Jab there all day, just 1, 2, there.
Wild stuff for sure.
Beautiful. Just step to
There
the left.
entertaining stuff between Horn and O'Shea, and that, of course, is Glenn Rushton. He's got Stephen Edwards as well, the cut man, who will be attending to, if needed, his brother later on, Jeff.
We could hear Glenn Rushton saying there in between rounds that look for the uppercut and close.
No uppercuts there, just winging shots, and they're connecting as well. Big shots from Horn. O'Shea firing back, but he's worn a couple of solid ones to the sides of the head. Plenty of action in the first 15 seconds of round 2.
Ooh, this fight is bringing out the best in both guys. They're all hot, both of them. There's no guessing what they're going to do. They're going to stand there and they're going to deliver. They're going to throw and they're going to land. You know, and this is part of learning to be a boxer. And both guys will come out of this fight a better fighter, whether they win, lose, or draw.
Nice lead right hand again from Horn. He's been successful with that twice through the opening section of this second round. Now he just gives himself a little break. They've expended plenty of energy early in this round, and he steps back and then lunges in again. Slightly less wild as they calm down here. Nice work to the body from O'Shea, who went long with his lead hand and finishes over the top with a nice right hook as well. Now they're in tight. Let's see if they can work in this position. Well, there's a shove. They get apart again, and they both try and throw those power shots on the way in. Then O'Shea digs around, Horn backs off, wears one, bounces off the ropes, back to centre ring.
I mean, they're both having the moments, Ben Damon. You know, one guy will land, O'Shea will land, then Horn will land. And as one of them lands, they seem to follow up with another 3 or 4 and just have their moments in the fight. And then, you know, the opponent will turn it around. It's a very close, hard-fought battle. That's what it is. It's not really a boxing match, it's a battle.
It's 4 rounds, this one. But on debut, that can seem like an awfully long time. And Lachlan O'Shea throws a wild one that misses. He goes through the ropes, and now Horn goes back to work with just over a minute remaining in this second round. He digs to the body nicely and finishes with that right uppercut as well. Good work from Ben Horn.
It's clear to see, to me, Ben Damon, that these guys are both made of the same stuff. There's no shyness, there's no fear in them. And they just want to stand there and knock each other out.
They both said that at yesterday's weigh-in. They said, well, we're very similar fighters. We were similar as amateurs. We're just going to go in there, throw lots of shots. It'll be entertaining. We'll both come forward. That's exactly what's happening. Lots of action in the opener. Good work from O'Shea too. Reaches long. Now digs into the body, but misses against the hip of Horn, and they dance and split up. And now Horn gets back on that lead right hand and goes to work, and backwards goes O'Shea. There's a nice left hand from Horn. One of the best shots of the fight so far. Gets through a hooking left hand. He digs in, finishes up with another left over the top that gets through as well, does Horn.
You know, these sort of fights, it's good to have early in the fighter's career, because if you have them too much, there'll be no longevity. No such thing as longevity if you have fights like this all the time. No doubt they're going to go back into their gyms next week, and their coaches are going to tell them and teach them, and then that's how they're going to learn about relaxing, using your jab, using your defense. Just listen here to Glenn Rushton.
Looking at the two of them in the corners. So O'Shea that looks the tighter at this stage of proceedings. Ben Horn, well, he's hardly fresh, but he's sticking in there, throwing lots of shots, and he had good success to the latter stages of that second round. I think that was a pretty clear Horn round. The first one, you can make a case either way. Take us through some of these highlights, Carly.
I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing, is both guys just standing there and trying to deliver. There's no setting up, it's just throw.
Don't fight him just to fight back. Start taking some charge, all right? Get in the middle. 2 and 3 shots. Don't lunge in, Lockie. Trust me, even if you throw a small jab first, it's going to be better. Don't lunge in. Let's go.
Now that is former world title challenger, and quite recently as well, Mark Bam Bam Flanagan, who is telling Lachlan O'Shea what's what. Dennis Clancy was behind him, also giving instructions, so he's getting strong advice, is O'Shea.
I must say, I like that advice too. Use your jab a little bit, work your way in, and then stand and deliver. And the advice from his head coach, Dennis Clancy, is go forward, own the ring, take charge.
It's already been a successful start for the Rushton team, because they had a fighter in a pre-television bout earlier on. A big heavyweight too, a man who was 4-0 with 4 stoppage victories going into this fight, all of them in the first round. Joseph Goodall, well, he's gone the distance the first time. He won a 4-rounder by unanimous points decision, and now Ben Horn is going to work on O'Shea, who's covering up, but not really defending, just sticking the arms out, trying to stay out of trouble and wearing a few shots on the inside. He's happy to exchange, but in the process, O'Shea is wearing some shots from Ben Horn. He's gone very red too, hasn't he, O'Shea?
I got to say, Ben Damon, from my time spent in younger days in Mount Isa, that's what I've learned. One thing is, guys from up that area, Townsville, Mount Isa, they know how to fight, they don't mind a fight. And I think boxing is good for the boys up in that region. It really is. I mean, we see guys like Bam Bam Flanagan, he's had 2 world title shots. We see Lachlan O'Shea here, Slick Rick, having a good count of himself. And it's just a good thing. Boxing really is a good outlet, you know, for young men.
There's a good chopping right hand from Horn there as they tangled. He did just have an awkward moment where he missed and found himself square on, but as O'Shea came in, he just chucked out that chopping right, and it did get through, and now O'Shea just giving himself a little breather. He's waiting on the outside. There's a really nice jab from him, though.
Nice jab and a nice right hook, too, from his southpaw stance.
Good stuff from Lachlan O'Shea.
Horn is leaving himself a little bit open now. He's had a little bit of success in the first round with those bombs, and in all of the rounds they've both had success, but he feels comfortable in his bombs. But one thing he's learning early in his career, sometimes you throw your bombs and they land, but your opponent can throw bombs right back at you, as we're seeing here from Slick Rick.
He just did a little wall here, Horn. Maybe he was just conserving some energy for a strong finish to this third round, but his activity has certainly dropped and he's bouncing around a little bit.
Well, no doubt it's taken it out of both fighters. They're fighting hard, man. They're just really fighting hard.
Good shot, though, from Horn there.
It was.
Right hand.
Technique's out the window, and it's just stand and deliver, throw and land. And, I mean, that's just what they, they're learning in their first pro fight.
Both taking some deep breaths here with 30 seconds left in round 3 of 4.
Put your heads in
Another
there, fellas.
lead power shot from O'Shea, and Horn certainly giving himself a breather. Let's see if he tries for a strong finish here. With 15 seconds left, he turns his back, turns and throws a right hand, but it's a lazy one, and O'Shea throws a nice right hand over the top. They'll tangle up, and this should take us to the ends of round 3, but
wow,
they've thrown so many punches.
Yeah.
They've covered just about every section of this ring as well. They've been all over the place. They've been tangling, throwing, dancing. Horn, who seemed to tire pretty significantly at the end of that third round as we have a look at some of the highlights.
Well, taking punches like what we just saw here on the replay will tire anybody. He's taken some nice big right hooks, took a jab there. I mean, like I mentioned before, it's their first pro fight, and there's nerves, there's adrenaline. One thing Dennis Clancy said to me yesterday at the weigh-in,
Pick your moment. Be smart. Pace yourself.
he said he wouldn't be surprised if everything goes out the window. Both guys just try and stand and fight. That's exactly what we're seeing.
I think it went out the window after about 30 seconds. Not a great deal of technique, but plenty of entertainment, plenty of guts, and a really good opener we're seeing here at Suncorp Stadium. If you're just joining us, that's Ben Horn, the younger brother of Jeff Horn. He's making his professional boxing debut as our opening TV bout here at Suncorp Stadium. Lachlan O'Shea is the man in the black trunks with the yellow. They touch gloves because this is the start of the final round. Round number 4.
Hats off to these guys, Ben. I mean, it's a big event here tonight that they're making their pro debut. And like I keep mentioning, no doubt they are going to learn so much from this fight. You know what I mean? And if we're going to make it to the end of this fight, because both guys are throwing big punches and both wearing big punches. You know, as you just start off your boxing career, you don't focus too much on the defense.
Good right hand from O'Shea. He's wobbled his horn. He's in all sorts of trouble. O'Shea goes to work. There's another right hand. That'll be called a knock. No, he stopped the fight. Our referee has stopped the fight. Ben Horn has been stopped on his professional boxing debut, and Lachlan O'Shea has a stoppage victory to start. Well, we knew he was tiring Horn, but O'Shea saw the opportunity. He threw big shots. He scored with a massive right hand. He followed it up as Horn clambered against the ropes, and he's got the stoppage victory. Our referee jumped in. Here's the closing stages.
It was that right hook that was... But here he comes here with that big hook. I think this was the second one. And then it was just a matter of just stand there and trade, deliver and make one of them land. Because both fighters were exhausted going into this round. Both fighters, as I keep mentioning, had no defense. They were just throwing nerves of the first fight. And this could have happened to either one, whoever lands first, and it was O'Shea who got the win.
It was Paul Tapley, our referee, who did jump in and stop proceedings. Well, I think that maybe under the rules, he could have called a knockdown there. It was only the ropes that kept Ben Horn up, but maybe he didn't think he was going to recover regardless. But there was the opportunity for our referee to call that a knockdown, to give him a count, and to fight on.
There was, but, I mean, at the end of the day, both fighters will fight another day. This is their first pro debut. There's no shame in losing your first fight. You won an undefeated record. You lose your first one, it doesn't really mean nothing. In that sense, they will learn from this.
You can just hear Glenn Rushton in the corner of Horn giving some advice. In those situations, maybe look to take a knee, is what he said. So allow the count, allow the knockdown, but he was hurt. He was wobbled badly, and without the benefit of experience, without having been a professional boxer before, he just didn't have that presence of mind, and our referee, Paul Tapley, jumped in to save him. And this man, Lachlan O'Shea, what a day it's been for him. From Townsville, on pro debut, as I mentioned before the fight, he had a really bad motor accident years back, and it wasn't thought he'd be able to get into centre ring, but he's done that, and he's scored a stoppage victory on pro debut, and now the pair of them embrace. Horn and O'Shea have put up a really spirited performance in our opener. Not a good start for the Horn camp. Jeff, of course, in our main event later against Anthony Mundine. Order now at mainevent.com.au. But Ben, he's been stopped.
This is boxing, and it's very, very hard for a fighter to think, I'm going to take a knee, especially on your pro debut.
Okay, we may as well make this official. Get the official time from our ring announcer.
Fighters to the center ring, please. Ladies and gentlemen, with 38 seconds gone in the fourth round, your referee, Paul Tapley's calls a stop to this contest for your winner by TKO, fighting out of the blue corner, Lachlan O'Shea.
Now, Lachlan O'Shea via TKO in the fourth of 4 rounds. A big day for that young man. It's a big day here at Suncorp Stadium. Our main event, Jeff Horn against Anthony Mundine. That comes up later on after a very strong undercard. Thank you so much for joining us here at Suncorp Stadium. Stick with us, plenty more still to come after this.